For centuries, human value has been intrinsically linked to our labor. Our contribution to the economy defined not just our income, but our identity, our purpose, and our place in society. This fundamental truth is about to be. We are standing on the precipice of the greatest economic shift in history. A period where the very concept of a job, as we know it, becomes obsolete for a vast portion of the population. This isn't just about automation. Forecasts predict that by 2030, and certainly by 2040, a significant percentage of current professions will be fully automated. Not augmented, but replaced entirely. The question is no longer if this will happen, but what? This documentary explores the emergence of what historians may one day call the useless class, a new, massive segment of humanity rendered economically irrelevant by artificial intelligence. A class defined not by what they do. The first wave of this transformation is already here, and it's targeting the foundations of our industrial world. Physical labor, logistics, transportation. Any task that is repetitive, predictable, and can be optimized by. Self-driving trucks are not a distant dream, they are being tested on our highways today. Automated warehouses, operated by swarms of coordinated robots, already pack and ship our goods. This is the silent, efficient. But it's not just physical labor. Repetitive cognitive tasks are equally vulnerable. Data entry, basic accounting, customer service call centers. Any job that involves processing information according to a set of rules is a. This initial wave creates a false sense of security for many. It seems to only affect low-skill jobs. But this is merely the first tremor before the earthquake, lulling the wider professional world into a dangerous state of complacency. The second wave of automation is far more insidious, because it targets the very thing we thought made us uniquely human: creativity. For decades, we believed that art, music, writing, and design were safe havens, untouchable. Generative AI can now compose music that moves us, write articles that inform us, and create visual art that inspires us. It learns from the entirety of human creation and reassembles it into something new, at a speed and scale that. Graphic designers, copywriters, musicians, and even architects are now competing with algorithms that can produce hundreds of variations in the time it takes them to sketch a single idea. The economic incentive to choose the machine over the human. This isn't just about job loss, it's an existential crisis for the creative class. If an AI can create beauty, what is the role of the human artist? When art becomes infinitely reproducible and free to generate, it's perceived. The final sanctuary was supposed to be complex problem-solving. Doctors, lawyers, engineers. But large language models and advanced AI are now capable of diagnosing diseases with greater accuracy than human doctors, and analyzing. This second wave dissolves the distinction between white-collar and blue-collar, creative and analytical. It suggests that no profession is truly safe. The scope of automation expands from the predictable to the probabilistic, from the physical The speed of this disruption is what makes it so dangerous. The Industrial Revolution unfolded over generations, allowing society time to adapt. The AI revolution is unfolding in a matter of years, offering no such grace. And as the waters of automation rise, they threaten to drown everyone, leaving no high ground untouched. The promise of human ingenuity is being challenged by the reality of artificial efficiency. The common response to this threat is the myth of reskilling. The argument that, just as blacksmiths became mechanics, today's workers will simply learn new skills for the jobs of tomorrow. But this analogy is fundamentally flawed. A machine is not just another tool. An AI is a universal learner. Whatever new profession you train for, an AI can be trained to do it as well, likely faster and cheaper. It's a relentless game of catch-up where humanity is destined. The new professions that emerge will likely be in areas like AI maintenance, ethics, or prompt engineering. But these are niche fields. They cannot possibly absorb the hundreds of millions of people displaced from trucking, retail. We are not moving towards a new equilibrium of labor. We are moving towards a permanent and growing surplus of human capability. The economic system, built on the premise of trading labor for capital, begins to break down when labor has no value. Furthermore, the cognitive demands of these new roles may exceed the capabilities of a large portion of the population. The pace of technological change is outstripping our biological capacity to learn and adapt. We are creating a world that is The promise of reskilling becomes a hollow echo in a world where the most valuable skill is the ability to learn faster than an AI. It is a race we are not equipped to win, and to pretend otherwise is to ignore the fundamental nature of this technological shock. This isn't just an economic crisis, it's a social and psychological one. For generations, we have answered the question, "Who are you?" with our job title. I am a teacher. I am a builder. I am a writer. What happens when that answer is nothing? When your economic identity is erased, what is left? This is the profound psychological cost of mass unemployment. A crisis of meaning that could lead to widespread depression, social unrest. Our entire social structure is built around the 40-hour work week. It dictates when we wake, when we socialize, when we rest. The removal of this framework could lead to a profound sense of aimlessness and anomie, a societal condition. We see precursors to this in communities devastated by deindustrialization, higher rates of addiction, family breakdown, and what economists call deaths of despair. Now imagine that phenomenon scaled to a global level. The human psyche is not built for idleness without purpose. We are tool users, problem solvers. When there are no more problems for us to solve, we may begin to create them for ourselves, turning our frustrations inward, or outward toward. The challenge, then, is not just to feed and house the unemployed, but to build a new social contract. One that provides a framework for a meaningful life in a world where traditional work is a relic of the past. A task for which we are woeful. This unprecedented productivity, driven by AI and automation, will generate immense wealth. But the critical question is how that wealth will be distributed. If left to current market forces, it will concentrate in the hands of the few who. This creates a scenario of a new two-tiered society. At the top, a small, owner class, that controls the automated means of production. And below them, the vast majority of humanity, the useless class, who have no. The most discussed solution to this is Universal Basic Income, or UBI. A system where every citizen receives a regular, unconditional sum of money from the government to cover basic needs. It is presented as a panacea. But UBI carries its own dangers. It could create a permanent state of dependency, pacifying the population while leaving the fundamental power structures untouched. It treats the symptom, poverty, without addressing the disease. The level at which UBI is set becomes a critical control mechanism. Too low, and it fails to prevent poverty. Too high, and it disincentivizes any remaining human-centric work. It places the power over society's survival. An alternative is universal basic assets, where ownership of the AI in robotic systems is distributed among the population. Instead of a handout, people receive dividends from the automated economy they are all stakeholders in. Without such a redistribution, we risk creating a new form of feudalism. A world where the algorithm lords own everything, and the rest of humanity subsists on digital bread and circuses, their lives comfortable but ultimately meaningless. The economic fracture isn't just about wealth, it's about power. The power to decide society's future, to shape its values, and to determine the fate of the billions of people who have been left behind by the relentless march of progress. We are at a civilizational crossroads. The technology we are creating has the potential to liberate humanity from toil and usher in an age of unprecedented creativity and leisure. Or, it has the potential to create a permanent underclass. The outcome is not predetermined. It depends on the choices we make now, about how we structure our economies, how we define value, and what we believe the purpose of human life to be in an age of intelligent machines. These are not technical. Perhaps the erasure of our economic identity is not an end, but an opportunity. A chance to finally untangle human worth from productivity. To build a society that values compassion, community, learning, and discovery not for their. In a post-work world, our job might become the exploration of our own humanity. We could dedicate our lives to art, to science, to relationships, to the things that machines can imitate but never truly understand. This requires a radical re-education of society. A shift in our value systems away from competition and accumulation towards collaboration and self-actualization. We would have to teach our children that their worth is not determined by their future. But this utopian vision is fragile. It requires a level of collective wisdom and foresight that humanity has rarely demonstrated. The path of least resistance leads towards distraction, dependency, and the concentration of power. The emergence of the useless class is not a technological inevitability, it is a political choice. A choice about whether the fruits of our collective genius will be used to empower all of humanity, or to enrich a select few. The future is coming faster than we think. And in that future, the most important question will not be, what do you do for a living? But simply, what makes you human? The answer will define the next chapter of our story.